Ah, look who finally showed up. Yeah, you. The one scrolling through at 3 in the morning, looking for something that feels real. Looking for proof that you're not losing your mind. Looking for confirmation that what you're feeling isn't crazy. Well, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you is gonna flip everything you thought you knew about who's really in your corner. Who's really riding for you. Who's been moving in silence like a shadow with a switchblade in a prayer. See, while you've been out here thinking you're alone, thinking nobody sees you, thinking nobody cares, there's been someone operating in the frequencies you can't even detect. Someone who's been handling your problems before you even knew they were problems. Someone who loves you so violently, so completely, so dangerously, that they've been out here dismantling your enemies piece by piece. And you didn't even notice, did you? Because that's the thing about real protection. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need credit. It doesn't post about it on social media. It just moves. And the bodies drop. And by bodies, I mean their confidence, their plans, their ability to sleep at night, their peace of mind. Yeah, those bodies. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds insane. This sounds like some conspiracy theory. This sounds like I'm about to sell you something or tell you to join a cult. But stay with me, because you've felt it, haven't you? That weird shift in energy when someone who was coming for you suddenly backed off. That strange turn of events when your hater suddenly had their own crisis to deal with. That peculiar moment when someone who was plotting against you mysteriously lost their footing, their confidence, their position, their power. And you thought it was coincidence. You thought it was karma. You thought it was just luck. But it wasn't. It was someone moving chess pieces on a board you can't even see. Someone who decided that anyone who hurts you, anyone who plots against you, anyone who even thinks about dimming your light is going to have a very, very bad time. And they've been making good on that promise every single day. You just haven't been paying attention because you've been too busy surviving, too busy healing, too busy becoming who you're meant to be, while they've been clearing the path ahead of you like a spiritual snowplow, removing obstacles you'll never even know existed. Let me paint you a picture, because this is where it gets wild. You know that person who was talking behind your back, spreading lies, poisoning the well, trying to turn people against you? Yeah, them. Well, funny thing happened, isn't it? Suddenly, their own secrets started surfacing. Suddenly, people started seeing through their mask. Suddenly, the very tactics they used against you backflipped and caught them in the throat. And you thought that was just justice. You thought that was just the universe balancing the scales. But no, no, no. That was intervention. That was someone who loves you, pulling strings you can't see, pressing buttons you don't have access to, making phone calls in dimensions you can't pronounce. Because here's what you need to understand. When someone truly loves you, I'm not talking about the surface love, the Instagram love, the performative love. I'm talking about that deep, ancient, soul-level love that transcends logic and enters the realm of spiritual warfare. When someone loves you like that, they don't just sit back and watch you suffer. They don't just send thoughts and prayers. They become the storm. They become the reckoning. They become the thing your enemies have nightmares about. And they do it all without you ever asking, without you ever knowing, without ever needing the credit. You want to know why that toxic person suddenly lost interest in tormenting you? It wasn't because they got bored. It was because someone made it clear that every action has a reaction, and the reaction they were about to face was going to be biblical. You want to know why that opportunity that seemed impossible suddenly opened up? It wasn't luck. It was someone moving mountains you can't see, removing barriers you didn't know existed, creating pathways that shouldn't logically exist. You want to know why you're still standing when by all accounts you should have crumbled? It's because someone has been holding you up in ways that defy physics, defying logic, defying the very laws of nature itself. And they do it because they can't not do it, because their love for you is so intense, so consuming, so overwhelming that sitting idle while you suffer is not an option. So they move, and they move hard, and they move without mercy. And the people who tried to break you suddenly find themselves broken, and they never quite understand why. They never quite figure out what happened. They just know that something shifted, something changed, and suddenly the target on your back became a target on theirs. Now here's where it gets even deeper. Because this person who loves you, this guardian, this silent warrior, they're not doing this because they think you're weak. They're not doing this because they think you can't handle your own battles. They're doing this because they see your potential. They see your destiny. They see the version of you that's coming, and they'll be damned if anyone gets in the way of that transformation. And they may be decent enough to trust. See, you're too busy evolving, too busy shedding skin, too busy becoming, too busy ascending, to waste time dealing with mosquitoes and gnats. So they handle it. They swat them away. They eliminate the distractions. They clear the static. They make sure that when you're ready to level up, there's nothing in your way, no surprise attacks, no ambushes waiting in the darkness, because they've already swept the room. They've already checked the shadows. They've already neutralized the threats before you even entered the building. And that is love. That is protection. That is the kind of loyalty that doesn't show up in greeting cards, but shows up in your enemies suddenly losing sleep, suddenly losing power, suddenly losing their grip on reality itself. Let's talk about patterns, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think back over the last year, the last 2 years, the last 5 years. How many times did something that should have destroyed you just mysteriously fall apart? How many times did someone who was coming for you suddenly have their own crisis? How many times did a situation that looked impossible suddenly resolve itself in ways you can't explain? You chalked it up to resilience. You chalked it up to luck. You chalked it up to your own strength. And yeah, you are strong. Yeah, you are resilient. But there's been a force multiplier at work. A cosmic backup. A silent partner who's been running interference while you've been running forward. See, they don't want credit. They don't need recognition. They just need you to make it to where you're going. And they will burn down entire forests to clear your path. And you'll never even smell the smoke, because by the time you get there, the ashes have been swept away, the evidence removed, and all you see is an open road. Think about that person who betrayed you, who stabbed you in the back, who smiled in your face while sharpening the knife. Yeah, them. What happened to them, really? What happened after they crossed you? Because I bet if you really think about it, their life didn't exactly flourish, did it? I bet things started falling apart for them in ways that seemed almost poetic, almost too perfect to be random. Their relationships crumbled, their opportunities dried up, their reputation took hits they couldn't recover from, their mental health spiraled, their confidence shattered, and everyone around them started seeing what you saw all along, and you thought that was just karma. That was just the universe correcting itself. But it was more targeted than that. It was more intentional than that. Because karma is patient. But love is immediate. And when someone loves you the way this person loves you, karma doesn't get to take its time. Karma gets accelerated. Karma gets weaponized. Karma becomes a tactical strike. And your betrayer never stood a chance. Now let's go deeper. Because this isn't just about enemies. This is about obstacles. This is about closed doors that suddenly swung open, about impossible situations that suddenly became possible, about resources that appeared out of nowhere, about connections that materialized at exactly the right moment. You thought you were just lucky. You thought you were just grinding hard enough. But there's been someone behind the scenes making calls you didn't make, opening doors you didn't knock on, creating opportunities that didn't exist until they spoke them into existence. And they do it because your success is their mission, your happiness is their obsession, and they respect at that altar every single day, with actions you'll never see, with sacrifices you'll never know about, with battles fought in dimensions you can't access. And the enemies don't even know they're fighting this person. They just know they suddenly can't breathe, can't think, can't move against you without consequence. Here's what's really happening. Every time someone plots against you, every time someone wishes you harm, every time someone tries to block your path, there's an immediate cosmic response. There's a rebalancing, there's a recalibration. And that person who loves you, they're the one initiating the sequence. They're the one who says, "Not on my watch." They're the one who activates defenses you didn't know you had, who calls in favors from places you've never been, who pulls strings connected to puppets you've never seen. And suddenly the person who was coming for you finds themselves in quicksand, finds themselves in darkness, finds themselves in a maze with no exit. And they panic, and they scramble, and they wonder what the hell happened. And the answer is simple. They messed with someone who's protected, someone who's covered, someone who's loved so hard that the universe itself bends to keep them safe. You want proof? Look at your life right now. Really look at it. How are you still here after everything you've been through? How are you still sane after the betrayals, the losses, the pain, the darkness? Are you still standing, still fighting, still believing, still hoping, when by all accounts you should be broken, shattered, destroyed? And the answer isn't just your strength. The answer isn't just your resilience. The answer is that you've never been fighting alone. You've had someone in your corner, someone in the shadows, someone in the spaces between spaces, who's been catching you when you fall, who's been lifting you when you can't stand, who's been breathing life into you when you wanted to give up. And they do it because they have to, because loving you isn't a choice for them. It's a compulsion. It's a calling. It's the reason they exist. And anyone who threatens that, anyone who tries to harm you, becomes public enemy number one in a war they don't even know they're losing. Now, we need to talk about something most people don't understand, which is that real love, real protection, doesn't look like what you see in movies. It doesn't look like someone jumping in front of a bullet. It doesn't look like dramatic confrontations or public displays. It looks like silence. It looks like distance. It looks like nothing happening at all on the surface. But underneath, there's a war being waged. And your enemies are losing battles they don't even know they're fighting. Because this person who loves you, they operate in the invisible. They move in the undetectable. They strike in ways that leave no fingerprints, no evidence, no trace. Just results, just outcomes. Just your enemies suddenly finding themselves in situations they can't explain, losing things they thought were secure, watching their plans crumble for reasons they can't identify, and they go crazy trying to figure it out, trying to understand what went wrong. But they never will, because they're looking for logical explanations for spiritual warfare. They're looking for human causes, for cosmic intervention. Let me tell you how this really works, because it's not what you think. When someone is coming for you, when someone is plotting, when someone is planning your downfall, this person who loves you, they don't confront them directly. They don't make threats. They don't issue warnings. They just observe, and they wait, and then they move, and the move is always perfect, always precisely calibrated, always devastatingly effective. Maybe it's a word in the right ear, maybe it's information that surfaces at the right time, maybe it's an opportunity that vanishes, maybe it's a relationship that implodes, maybe it's confidence that evaporates, maybe it's clarity that becomes confusion. But whatever it is, it stops the threat. It neutralizes the danger. It removes the obstacle. And you never know it happened. You just know you're safe. You just know you survived. You just know somehow, some way you made it through another storm. And you think you did it alone, but you didn't. You had a guardian. You had a protector. You had someone who loves you so much that your enemies become their mission. And here's the thing that makes this even more powerful. This person doesn't do this for gratitude. They don't do this for recognition. They don't do this so you'll owe them or respect them or even know they exist. They do this because your well-being is their purpose. They do this because seeing you thrive is their reward. They do this because protecting you is as natural to them as breathing is to you. And so they move in silence. They operate in shadow. They work in the background. And you get all the credit. You get all the glory. You get all the victory. And they're perfectly fine with that. Because they're not doing this for themselves. They're doing this for you. And that is the purest form of love that exists. Love that doesn't need to be seen, doesn't need to be acknowledged, doesn't need anything except for you to be okay, for you to be safe, for you to be free to become everything you're meant to be. And anyone who tries to stop that process, anyone who tries to interfere with your evolution, becomes a problem that gets solved quietly, efficiently, permanently. You know what's crazy? Every person who's ever tried to destroy you is sitting somewhere right now, confused about why their life fell apart, why things stopped working, why they can't seem to catch a break. And they have theories, they have excuses, they have stories they tell themselves, but deep down they know something's off. They know something happened. They know they crossed a line and paid a price they didn't expect. And some of them even whisper your name when they're alone, wondering if somehow you cursed them, if somehow you're more powerful than they realized. And the truth is, you didn't curse them. You didn't even think about them long enough to curse them, because you were too busy surviving, too busy healing, too busy building. But someone else was thinking about them. Someone else was watching them. Someone else was watching them. Someone else was making sure they understood that actions have consequences. And the consequence of hurting you is a slow, systematic dismantling of everything they thought was solid, everything they thought was secure, everything they thought made them powerful. This is what people don't understand about real protection. It's not loud, it's not visible, it's not obvious. It's the enemy who suddenly can't focus, who suddenly makes mistakes, who suddenly loses support, who suddenly finds themselves isolated, exposed, vulnerable, and they don't know why. They just know everything changed after they came for you. And they can't prove anything, they can't point to anything concrete, but they feel it. They feel the weight, they feel the pressure, they feel like they're being watched, being judged, being measured, and found wanting. And that feeling, that pressure, that weight, that's the love that surrounds you, that's the protection that covers you. That's the force that ensures anyone who tries to harm you ends up harming themselves. And it happens every single time, without fail, without exception, without mercy. Because the person who loves you doesn't believe in second chances when it comes to your safety, doesn't believe in forgiveness when it comes to your enemies, doesn't believe in mercy when it comes to people who try to stop your destiny. So now you're probably wondering, who is this person? Who is this guardian? Who is this silent warrior fighting battles on my behalf? And here's where it gets interesting, because the answer might surprise you, might challenge you, might make you rethink everything you thought you knew about who's really in your corner. See, it might not be who you think. It might not be who you expect. It might not be someone you talk to every day, or someone you see regularly, or someone who posts about you on social media, because real love doesn't perform. Real protection doesn't advertise. Real loyalty doesn't need an audience. It just acts. And it acts consistently. And it acts without needing anything in return. And when you start paying attention, when you start looking for the patterns, when you start looking for the timing, you'll see it. You'll feel it. You'll know there's been someone there all along. Someone who's had your back when everyone else turned theirs. Someone who's believed in you when everyone else doubted. Someone who's fought for you when everyone else walked away. Here's what makes this even more powerful. Once you recognize it, once you see, once you understand that you're not alone, that you've never been alone, that there's been this force, this presence, this love operating on your behalf, something shifts inside you. Something changes. You start moving different. You start speaking different. You start sconcing different. You start carrying yourself different. Because you realize you're not just protected, you're chosen. You're not just covered, you're anointed. You're not just lucky, you're appointed. And that changes everything. That changes how you walk into rooms, how you handle conflicts, how you respond to threats, because you know you're not fighting alone. You know you've got backup. You've got support. You've got someone who will go to war for you without hesitation, without question, without limit. And that kind of assurance, that kind of confidence, that kind of peace, it makes you dangerous. It makes you unstoppable. It makes you the kind of person who walks through fire and doesn't even smell like smoke. Now, I need you to understand something crucial. This love, this protection, this guardianship, it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you dependent. It doesn't mean you're not capable of handling your own battles,